Imagine you're at home, minding your own business when you suddenly feel a strange sensation as if someone is watching you. You glance out the window, nothing is there. You call out to see if anyone is around, silence. Then it dawns on you, the source of that gaze is none other than your little cat intently observing you. For seasoned cat owners, being watched by their feline companions is a familiar experience. But have you ever wondered why cats are so inclined to fix their eyes on us? There are several reasons behind this behavior, and in this video, we'll delve into 10 common explanations for why your cat might be staring at you. Before we get started, why not subscribe and join our community of all-season paws for more tips and tricks to enhance your cat care experience? Number 1. Natural curiosity. Cats are inherently curious creatures. If you notice your cat watching you intently, it could simply be that they are interested in your movements, especially if you've just changed your position after sitting still. As both prey and predator animals, they have an instinctual drive to be aware of their surroundings. If you've just moved after sitting for a while, your cat may shift its focus to you, intrigued by the change in motion within the home. One of the primary reasons cats stare at humans is due to this curiosity. From their perspective, you might appear quite peculiar, which explains why they occasionally watch you intently. When you engage in activities that are out of the ordinary for you, your cat is likely eager to understand what's going on. They will continue to observe you until their interest wanes or until something more captivating captures their attention. Cats often stare at their human companions out of curiosity, as you may appear quite peculiar to them. What happens if you stare at a cat for 5 minutes? Do cats like it, or not if you stare at them? Wendy T is a keeper of 3 domesticated feral cats. She did a not-so-scientific results for the experiment, and for the sake of this question, she set her timer for 5 minutes, called her kitties into the garage, and stared a full-on eye contact for 5 whole minutes.
Of course, I had to blink sometimes, and I glanced at the timer to keep track of time, but otherwise, I just stood there and stared at them to see what would happen. My cats didn't seem to mind being stared at. They aren't used to having me just stand there and stare at them without speaking to them or petting them or brushing them. They aren't used to me staring at them without having me feed them a treat. But they didn't freak out or anything. I don't think a cat that didn't know me would like 5 minutes of intense eye contact though. I don't think humans do either. I certainly don't. Do you? It could be perceived as a threat. I'm not a cat behavior specialist, so I don't know what my own cats were thinking. They probably thought it was weird. It took 27 seconds before the last cat lost interest in me, broke eye contact, then went to find something more interesting to do.
2. Expressing needs. Your cat might be trying to communicate that they want something from you, be it attention, food, or playtime. They might paw at you or meow to gain your focus. This behavior can stem from learned experiences. For instance, if your cat associates the sound of the can opener with mealtime, they will seek your attention when they hear it. Similarly, if you've responded positively to their staring in the past by playing with them or feeding them, they will continue this behavior to achieve similar outcomes. The more you reinforce their staring with rewards, the more likely they are to repeat it. Met Brown has a lovely answer here.
My cat does this to me to show trust, love, and, unfortunately in her case, longing for still more food. I have always felt it was peering into your soul with an acceptant gaze. My tiny 5-pound Singapura often did this, but only to people she trusted. It was so intense it was unnerving, and people receiving the gaze never failed to become unnerved and comment on it. Thank you for this reminder of another unique trait.
3. Seeking stimulation. If your cat is feeling bored due to a lack of engagement, they may look to you for entertainment. Fortunately, watching you is a better outlet than destructive behaviors like scratching furniture. Remember, cats communicate a lot through body language, including facial expressions and posture. To understand what your cat is conveying, consider their entire demeanor in a given context. Listen to the story of Karen C., She is a former technical writer at Hughes Aircraft Company.
My cat Lance was watching the ceiling intently. We were in the living room. It was a bright afternoon. Sunlight was coming through the big front window, bathing me in warmth and light as I sat in my chair, working on something on my iPad. I watched Lance. His head would move very slightly from time to time, as if he was watching something move on the ceiling. He was really interested in whatever was up there. He seemed to be concentrating on one spot, and whatever he was watching wasn't moving very much. After a few minutes, I decided to get up and walk across the room to where Lance was sitting on the couch to see if I could figure out what he was looking at. Maybe from his point of view, I could see it. I set my iPad aside on the coffee table and started to get up. Lance's laser-intent gaze snapped across the ceiling. It had moved. Whatever it was, it moved all the way across the ceiling all at once. I froze. Lance was now tensely watching a different part of the ceiling. I still couldn't see anything. No spider, no bug, no wisp of cobweb waving in an air current. But something had changed, had moved fast, had leapt across the ceiling. And I hadn't seen it, faster than light. I looked where Lance was looking, and I slowly reached for my iPad, picked it up. Watched as the little spot of reflected light from sunlight on the iPad screen moved across the ceiling. Watched as Lance's gaze whipped around to follow it, like Dawn's.
For signs of relaxation, a calm cat typically displays loose body movements, slow and steady breathing, and may position their feet comfortably or stretch them out. Their ears and whiskers will be relaxed, and their eyes may appear as thin slits or slightly almond-shaped. If your cat is slow blinking, it's a sign they feel safe and affectionate towards you. Listen to Buddy's touching story from his owner, Daniel H.
I have had many cats as family members.
Hi, my new name is Buddy. My new human is asleep, so I will answer this question for him. I stare at Dan, waiting to catch his eye so I can slow blink at him and get his slow blink in return. My mother taught me that this is how you tell a human you like and trust it. Sometimes Dan gets the thing that throws a red dot out of his pocket and lets me chase it if I stare long enough and meow at him. Sometimes I have to sit on his laptop and paw at his pocket too. But he is not entirely stupid for a human and usually catches on. Sometimes, if I stare just right and lick my lips, Dan will get the little pounce treats out and feed me a few. I like them. Sometimes, I feel like my human is not paying enough attention to me, so I sit and stare until he does. Of course, sometimes I just like to look at him. But the biggest reason I stare at my human is because I am a cat and I do what I want to do. Sometimes I just want to stare. Sometimes I stare at the wall or at the ceiling for no reason at all. And I am thinking, planning, cat stuff. Now, don't anyone tell Dan I was using his computer. If you do, I will deny it. And he always believes me.
5 indications of fear or stress. When a cat is feeling fearful or stressed, its behavior may change noticeably. Such a cat will often freeze in place or seek refuge by hiding. You might observe that its body is tense, with limbs and tail pulled close to the body, contrasting with relaxed cats whose limbs and tails are more extended. A fearful cat may crouch with its legs tucked beneath it. Its ears could be positioned sideways or tucked back, and its tail might be lowered. Additionally, the cat's pupils will be dilated, appearing large and round, and it may exhibit direct eye contact, usually directed towards whatever is causing its fear. If you notice your cat displaying these signs, it's important to recognize that it may be stressed or scared, which can lead to aggressive behavior. In such cases, avoid picking up or touching the cat. Instead, try to remove the source of its fear, which could include humans, and offer some tasty treats to help soothe it or encourage it to move to a safer, more comfortable area. To better understand your cat's behavior, pay attention to its staring and consider any nearby stimuli, including subtle sounds or sights that humans might not notice. that could be capturing its attention. Additionally, look for other signs in its body language to gain insight into what the cat is trying to communicate. 6. Curious observation. If your cat is staring at you while appearing calm, they might simply be trying to figure out what you will do next. Humans can be fascinating to cats, especially since you provide them with food, affection, and playtime. Cats are naturally observant and may pay closer attention to your actions than you realize. Here is a story from Tanner L.M. She's former technology secretary assistant at University of Florida Environmental Services.
I'm the type of person who feels irritatingly uncomfortable when I notice that I'm being stared at incessantly longer than a minute or so, especially when the one staring at me is up close to me in my personal space, such as close to my face. One of my two cats has a persistent habit of doing exactly that. He comes in from an open window onto my desk and sits directly at my face, so to speak, while I am using my computer, and he just stares at me. This is the closest to how he looks. But he has a white beige mane around his neck. Google images. I don't think my cats cared that I was staring at them. They probably just thought I was wasting 5 minutes of their precious playtime.
7. Affectionate engagement. Have you ever woken up to find a warm, purring cat nestled on your chest, staring lovingly into your eyes? If so, you've experienced a delightful display of feline affection. When your cat slowly opens and closes her eyes while gazing at you, she might be attempting to convey her love in a special way. A study conducted in 2020 revealed that cats communicate and form bonds with humans through a behavior known as slow blinking. This action of narrowing their eyes serves as a positive emotional signal. The next time your cat looks at you intently, try returning the gesture with a slow blink of your own. You may be pleasantly surprised to see her blink back at you. Let the affectionate exchange begin. Listen to the story from Michelle R.H. Former. She is Textile and Fashion Design Director.
My beloved cat can have a staring contest for hours if she could. She is not a food-motivated cat. She's an affection-motivated cat. As much as she cuddles next to me, daytime when I'm sitting, and always at night during bedtime. And as much as I baby talk loving terms of affection, making her blink, kitty kisses back to me.
She seems to know that I love her dearly, and that staring will make me feel guilty and futilely unable to stare back, or divinely know what she is thinking or wants from me.
This happens on a daily basis. So I sometimes take pictures, as she's shy of the mommy paparazzi and will then turn and run for the hills into hiding. But for many cats, I believe, they are trying to tell their humans that they need something, or are bored and need you to play with and amuse them. My kitty sits by her food platter, or her dry food bowl, and especially, her favorite glass water bowl if the water has gotten lower than she likes. So, she and I have a clear communication in that way. But my best friend, who adores cats and loves my kitty, laughs and calls it chicken as to who can stay staring the longest, and naturally, she always wins. But it's so endearing, and she's just so cute. It often bugs me to no end, and I get up to offer to brush her, which is her favorite form of affection from me. She's a more or less silent kitty, so the staring isn't accompanied by a meow. Our fur babies cannot speak for themselves in human words, so we simply do the best we can to satiate whatever they want or need, giving them a multitude of choices, most of which they will reject.
8. Signals of fear or aggression. In the world of animals, a direct, unwavering stare can be seen as a sign of aggression. For instance, when one cat fixates its gaze on another, it may indicate that the staring cat is either upset, prepared to attack, or looking to flee. While it is possible for your cat to stare at you out of fear or anger, this is not particularly common. However, if your cat is staring at you and also growling or hissing, or if you notice its fur is standing up, it is crouching low. With ears flattened back and tail twitching, it is important to be cautious. These behaviors suggest that your cat may be feeling scared or threatened. In such situations, it is best to avoid touching your cat. Instead, give it some space and time to calm down before attempting to approach or handle it again. 9. Sleeping habits. We don't mean to discourage you, but you may not be as captivating as you believe. Some cats sleep with their eyes slightly open, so it's possible they're dozing off even though they seem to be looking your way. Sometimes, your cat staring could simply be a product of their sleep habits. Cats may snooze with their eyes partially open, which can make it appear as if they're watching you. 10. Health concerns. Certain medical conditions or injuries may lead to atypical staring behavior. For example, dementia or issues related to high blood pressure can cause a cat to look blankly ahead. If you notice unusual or persistent staring, consider consulting a veterinarian to rule out any health problems. Does your cat ever stare at you for no reason? Share your funny or heartwarming stories. I'd love to hear them.